Does the future of aircraft carriers just lie in making them bigger to become more powerful? The combat power of an aircraft carrier comes from the aircraft on board. Currently, traditional aircraft carriers weighing 100,000 tons, even though they have reached their peak in number, can only carry about 75 aircraft. The popular view is that to improve combat power, increasing tonnage is inevitable, because a larger ship can carry more aircraft. But is that the only path for aircraft carriers in the future? That's definitely not the case. Today we will explore the idea of a multi-deck aircraft carrier, a concept that has been forgotten. Those who understand aircraft carriers probably know that the idea of a multi-level deck is not new. As early as the 1920s, when aircraft carriers were first born, designers realized that the core strength of the ship lay in the number of aircraft on deck. If the deck area is large enough, the aircraft's operating efficiency will increase, while allowing more aircraft to be carried. At that time, the country's solution was simple and straightforward: increase the number of decks. Before World War II, the British Navy planned to improve the Courageous, Glorious, and Furious class aircraft carriers by adding a through deck to takeoff and land fighter aircraft, creating a two-deck design with the upper deck shorter than the lower deck. The upper deck was used for light fighters to gain control of the skies, while the lower deck was for heavy aircraft carrying out bombing missions over sea or land. British ideas at that time were extremely bold and advanced. However, before they could apply it, Britain had to switch to a comprehensive defense position in the early stages of the war. Later, this idea fell into Japanese hands, and the Japanese Navy improved the combined fleet's two aircraft carriers, Akagi and Kaga. Not stopping at 2 floors, Japan also added one more floor, turning them into 3-deck aircraft carriers. According to the design, the upper floor is used to recover aircraft, while the middle and lower floors are directly connected to the hangar, allowing the aircraft to be ready for combat immediately after being taken out. In theory, improved 3-deck aircraft carriers such as Akagi and Kaga will have superior power compared to the original British design. Even if the Battle of Midway had involved 4 multi-deck aircraft carriers, Japan probably would not have encountered chaos during takeoff and landing. However, reality shows that the multi-deck design is completely unfeasible. There are 3 main problems that Japan faces. The first is the problem of a high center of gravity, making the ship unable to maintain stability when moving. Compared to conventional aircraft carriers with only 1 flight deck, each additional deck requires structural reinforcement to withstand the forces of aircraft takeoff and landing. At that time, aircraft carriers had a small tonnage, like the improved Akagi, which was just over 40,000 tons. Adding layers without careful calculation makes the ship unstable in rough sea conditions, to the point where planes cannot take off, let alone fight. Second is the problem of ventilation downstairs. Propeller-powered aircraft, although they do not have hot air like jet aircraft, emit large amounts of smoke due to incomplete fuel combustion. With a lower deck design, with almost no ventilation, smoke and heat accumulate, combined with engine noise reverberating in closed spaces, seriously affecting the health of pilots and ground personnel, reducing work efficiency and combat power. Third, the lack of guidance columns on the upper deck force the bridge to be placed below deck, making control and combat difficult. In addition, the lower deck lacks runway length, making it difficult to support aircraft taking off. And if hit, repairs are very complicated. Finally, Japan decided to remove the middle and lower floors, convert Akagi and Kaga to a single deck design, and use that space as a hangar. After Japan's defeat, other countries also learned from it, and since then, no more multi-deck aircraft carriers have appeared. However, the above limitations mainly stemmed from the small tonnage and outdated material technology at that time. With modern technology, these problems can be completely solved, meaning that countries today are capable of building multi-deck aircraft carriers. As for the high center of gravity, today's 100,000-ton supercarriers, as a benchmark, can easily support 2 or even 3 deck levels without compromising stability. Commercial ships such as container ships or 100,000-ton cargo ships still operate normally on the ocean, so a 100,000-ton or even 150,000-ton aircraft carrier can completely handle the central problem. In terms of structure, modern steel is 3 to 5 times more durable than World War II-era steel, such as American HY-80, 550 megapascals, HY100 690 megapascals or HY130 890 megapascals steel. These materials, combined with optimized hull design, allow multi-deck aircraft carriers to maintain durability without the need for heavy armor. Ventilation on the lower deck is also no longer a challenge, thanks to the open elevators at the front of the ship and well-designed openings on both sides of the body, creating natural airflow. The duct effect, when air flows through a narrow space increasing wind speed, also helps improve air circulation, avoiding the situation where the lower floor turns into a smoke room like during wartime. Some people may be concerned about coordinating aircraft between decks. During World War II, this was a big problem, but with today's technology, smart control panels, such as the Aviation Data Processing and Control System on the U.S. Ford-class aircraft carrier or China's 075 amphibious assault ship, have completely solved it. This system operates like a smart home, with aircraft being devices such as curtains, air conditioners, or lights. With just a network connection, dispatchers can monitor and manage the aircraft status remotely, making it easy to arrange takeoffs and landings between decks. So, why, when every technical problem can be solved, has no country developed a multi-deck aircraft carrier? There are two main reasons. The first is manufacturing and maintenance costs. For example, the Ford-class aircraft carrier cost nearly $13 billion to build in 2018. With annual maintenance costs of up to $700 million. A multi-deck ship is certainly more expensive, not to mention the cost of developing additional suitable aircraft. Second is the modern combat environment. Anti-ship ballistic missiles are capable of causing serious damage, and an aircraft carrier strike group has difficulty dealing with saturation attacks. Although it is difficult to sink, it is easy for an aircraft carrier to be disabled or forced to retreat. Then, the damage from an expensive multi-deck aircraft carrier will be much greater than from a conventional 100,000-ton ship. However, it must be acknowledged that traditional aircraft carrier design has reached its limits. With a tonnage of 100,000 tons and 75 aircraft, they cannot add more power without losing mobility. If you want to increase sortie rate and overall strength, a multi-deck aircraft carrier is the optimal choice. Old ideas are sometimes still valuable. Multi-deck aircraft carriers once failed due to technological limitations, but today, those problems are no longer an obstacle. The only thing is, the price paid will be higher, and operating costs will also be more expensive.